Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heartwood's Haven. I am your host, Brandy Swords, and we have a special guest today, Katey.
Hi, I'm Katey.
Thanks, Katey, for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we're at a beautiful lake, so this is the perfect day. Of course, I'm sweating like a pig, but that's okay. We're here. We're doing it. So, yes. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Katey. Right now I'm a pediatric nurse for a pediatrician. I have kind of a long medical career history. I was a tech in the ICU for 3 years at Riverside, and that's kind of where I got like a lot of my medical skills,
Okay.
I guess. But I also saw a lot while I was there. I mean, I've held a lot of hands while people take their last breaths, and I've seen a lot in that. And then I had my son and my daughter shortly after, and then I ended up going to ER as a nurse. So I was a nurse in the ER for 3 or 4 years, and now I'm a peds nurse. So
Okay.
I mean, I always said I probably would never go into peds, but people were always like, "You should be a peds nurse. You're so good with the kids."
Yes.
And I was like, I needed a schedule change, so I'm like, let's see where this takes me. And I don't know, I kind of feel like that's where God told me to go, and that's where I'm at. So.
And what made you want to be a nurse in the first place?
So I wanted to be I don't know, like I feel like I was born to be a nurse.
Okay.
I knew, I mean, a lot of people are like, I never knew what I wanted to be, but I knew from very young that, I don't know, I just felt like that's what I was called to do, and
that's amazing.
I've always wanted to be a nurse. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love everything about it, honestly.
Yeah.
So
how's it now being a peds nurse? Like, since you're like, I don't want to do it, now I want to do it. How do you feel doing it?
I love it. I mean, I get to see these kids from their first newborn appointments to, like I get to watch them grow up, and it's awesome. I mean, it's nice to kind of be a part of that and get to see that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I just like to know, like I like my kids that I work with to know that, somebody sees them, like they're, they matter. So I'm really big on that. Like we have kids that struggle and stuff, and I just like them to know that, it's worth it. I promise. Like, it's gonna be all right.
Yes, and I mean, it's amazing because we need more people like you, because I think kids need to be heard and seen and supported. And I'm sure you see every kind of situation, good, bad, and the ugly. And I give it to you because I work with kids, but I'm the other end. And how was it working like in the ER? How did you deal with that mentally, work in the ER?
So, because of my traumas when I was younger, I kind of have developed this ability to disassociate pretty well.
Okay.
So, I've coded a lot of people. That kind of started in the ICU. I did a lot of codes, and, I coded people in the ER, and it's almost like I noticed that it's like I would stop thinking, and my nurse mode would just go. Like, I would just be doing things without thinking about what I was doing. Like, I would just do it.
Okay.
And so I kind of it's one of those things where, like, just like I know, like, police officers talk about it, like the adrenaline dump, like you just kind of go into the mode, and then afterwards is when it all kind of hits you. It's like the coming down that's rough.
And that's what I was going to say. What do you do when you're coming down? Like when you're going home to your family and then it just all hits you? What kind of things do you do to help yourself?
I mean, I'm not very good at taking my own advice, so
yeah.
We're
all like that, right? We're all like that. Like, we're like, do this, do that. But then when it comes to ourselves, it's just like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, I think, that I've seen in the medical field that I probably would never share with a lot of people, just because, I don't know, I think, like, unfortunately, as much as, like, I believe there's a lot of good in the world, I think working in the ER kind of showed me, like, what people can really do.
Yeah.
And how people can really be. And that there is a lot of, as much as there's so much good, there is a lot of evil out there.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I mean, that makes it really hard. So.
And it does. And you talked a little bit about like your past with mental health issues. Is there anything you want to kind of talk about or open up? It's a safe space, so you're welcome to say whatever you like or not. I always tell everybody whatever you would like to share.
So growing up, I mean, I had a really great life, a really great childhood. My parents were awesome, always there for me. And growing up, like probably one of my biggest supporters was my grandma. She lived like probably 5-10 minutes away from where I lived, and I would stay with her during the summer and stuff when my parents were at work, and I called her every single day. Like, we were very, very close. And when I was 11, she actually took her own life. So it kind of, I think it really like changed me mentally. Like, it really rewired who I was. And to be so young and getting into puberty and like just everything was weird at that time in my life.
Yes, that is such a hard period in general, and then dealing with emotions of that.
It was I don't know, I just kind of like, I guess suicide was never really like a theme in my life. So like it wasn't really anything I thought about. And then when that happened, it was just kind of like so like jarring that I don't know, it was just so weird, and I like couldn't wrap my head around it, and it was, I don't know, it was just hard. And I think like it kind of made me like a very dark teenager, like on the inside. Like I was like the emo kid,
Yes.
And I just kind of, I don't know, I've always known that like mentally I wasn't probably the healthiest. And I think as I've like went on in life, I know how I got through it, so I just feel like I want to help other people get through stuff like that. Because I mean, you got to talk about stuff, and I think people just, I mean, we know the stigma, people are weird about that kind of stuff.
I mean, and that's true, because I'm like you, like we didn't grow up and deal with anything with mental health, suicide, any of that kind of situation. And I'm like you, until something happens, I guess I just didn't realize, and I didn't understand because obviously we didn't deal with it. And then that was kind of us, like, how do you process things like that? Because like my mind could not understand. And I was just like, but my body was hurting, my heart was hurting. And I remember when we went through our situation, I just had like, my body felt like it was just achy and heavy. And it was such a hard thing to explain that my body just responded, but my mind and my heart, everything just couldn't connect. It was just like walking through a fog is what I always say, because that's kind of what I felt like we did, just walk through a fog because we didn't know what to do. And that was the biggest thing, because like we didn't know who to talk to, what to do, how to understand, who to reach out to. We were just kind of in the dark. So, I mean, with your family, did you kind of feel like that? Did people discuss it? Did they try to work together? How did it work with you guys?
So my parents got me into therapy.
Okay.
But I didn't really stay in therapy very long. I think I kind of told myself, like, I got this. Like, I don't need that. I can do it. I mean, I was just a kid, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I don't know, I just kind of, like, bottled it all up and tried to kind of, like, move on with my life, I guess. It's really weird. Like, it was a very weird time. Like, I just sometimes I think about, like, how different of a person I would have been if that wouldn't have happened. But I also have, like, grown to, I feel like no matter what happens in life, like, no matter how terrible or tragic or good or bad it is, I just feel like there's always a reason that something happens, and sometimes I don't think we'll know why until, we get there and ask ourselves. But I think sometimes, like, as humans, we aren't really meant to know why.
And I totally agree with that, because people ask me all the time, why does good and bad things happen? And I'm like, we don't know. I'm like you. It's like, I believe in God, and I think God has a purpose for us and a plan and whatever it is. I don't know why bad things happen. It's not for me to understand. And I'm like you. I think we're not supposed to understand that, because I don't think our brain, our heart, our body can really comprehend it until we get and like talk to God, and He's going to tell us. So I think that's the biggest thing. Do you think, how does like your mental health now as an adult, being a parent, has it changed over time? Like, you going through all these things?
So, a few years ago, my brother was sick, and I lost my brother, and that was really hard too. Like that kind of, I feel like whatever healing I had done,
Yes.
kind of like I was like going back in time.
Yeah.
Like it kind of brought it all back up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the idea of loss, just,
Yeah.
it's hard no matter what. I don't know. So that has been hard. And like I worry about mental health with my kids because, with my grandma, like obviously that's in my direct bloodline. And I know that I've struggled my whole life with mental health. So it does scare me that my kids will have issues too.
Yeah.
And that really scares me. Like that's probably one of my biggest fears is that I wouldn't be able to help them when, I don't know. I don't want them to be the type of kids that they don't want to talk.
Yes.
Like that scares me is that they would bottle it up and not talk and then it not end well, and that scares me.
Yeah.
So I try to just like get my kids to talk as much as possible, even though they're so young.
Yeah.
And, my stepson is 17 and I think he's at that's a really fragile age.
That is.
Especially in this world. Like the world is just so confusing.
It is confusing.
I don't know. I don't know how these kids navigate it.
And it's hard. I talk about that all the time because, like, when I was a teenager, obviously I did some really stupid stuff, but nothing was videoed. Nothing was recorded. So we talk about this because I'm like, all the things that I did or should have said, bad, whatever, it's not recorded. And I think nowadays everything is recorded. So people are getting bullied online. You're seeing all these videos and these pictures. And I think it's horrible. I think because when you go through them periods, the best way is to vent or whatever. But now everybody's turning to social media, and that's not a good thing. Right. It helps in some forms, don't get me wrong. Like, I love, like, us doing this. But for kids, reaching out for help on social media can turn bad. And I have so many people that come through and so many kids that I've done. Over 20 years, I've watched kids. And there's kids that come in there, and they're just sad, and they're angry. And a lot of times, if I sit down and talk to them, they're angry because of their parent might be in jail. Or they're dealing with someone that they've lost or a drug overdose, like so many different things. And it's just hard because they're acting out online and people are like, these kids are horrible kids. And I'm like, no, they're really not. It's just that's the only way they know how to do it. Yeah. So I think it's hard as parents because I'm the same way with my son. I'm like, did I give him enough love? Did I give him enough safe space where he wants to talk about these things? Because growing up, like, we didn't talk about these things.
Right.
With my mom, we talked the other day, and, it's just like, when something happens, you kind of deal with it, and you just move on. Well, I'm the type of person, I can't do it like that. Like, it builds up, and then I explode, and it's just horrible. Right. And I think everybody's different. So, nowadays, I'm glad that we are doing these things and talking about it, because the world is so hard. And your kids growing up in it, my grandkids growing up in it, how do we create that safe space? You know what I mean? Because you got to worry about the influence, the environment, the schools, everything, and just keeping God close. Yeah. I mean, that's the key. I love because, like, you have your kids in church, and showing them godly love and everything that you do. Do you think that's a big thing that helps you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think like as angry as I was when my grandma died. Mm-hmm. Like, I did go through the stage, because my grandma was actually very religious. Like, I mean, my parents, I give it to them. They taught me a lot about God, and, like, that was, really the conversation in my home. But my grandma also, like, really taught me a lot. Like, she was I would say she was a devout Christian. Mm-hmm. And so I was, like, angry at God. You know, I'm like, why would you take her from me like that? Like, what? I don't get it. And... But now I also think, now that I'm an adult, I realize that there's never been anything I've ever went through that God didn't get me through. Yeah. So, like, I don't know why that happened. And, like I said, I probably never will. But I know that God got me through it. And so I just, I make it a point that my kids know, like, everything you see in the world that's beautiful, that's God. Yeah. So that's one thing that is always, and I tell my husband about this. I tell him this all the time because to me, I guess it's hard for me to understand how people cannot believe in God. But I guess that's because I always have. Like ever since I was a kid, it's like I just knew. Mm-hmm. Like I knew that God was there. Like even when I was angry about my grandma, I knew that God still existed. Yeah. Like I don't know, I guess I've never questioned it because I just like, I look at my kids and I look at, this scene right here, like
Yes.
I just like, yeah, there are bad things in the world and there's a lot of ugliness and evil, but I think, the media and stuff, they don't focus on the good things in the world.
Yes.
And there is so much good. And, I also just think, like, as a nurse, like, especially when I was in the ICU, I don't understand how you can be a nurse and not believe in God.
Yes, I'm sure. Especially the things that you guys have seen.
Yeah, like, I've watched so many people pass away that for me to just feel like, oh, well, they're gone and that's it. They're just going to be in the ground or ashes and that's it.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like, there has to be something else that makes this worth it.
Yes, I agree.
Like, we're here for a reason. We're, I'm not just, like, I feel like I don't just know you just because.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a reason that for everything. And I don't know, I guess now, like, more recently in the last few years, I've kind of taken on the whole, like, seek first the kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess more and more I just feel like everything I do wasn't meant for here.
Yeah.
Like, it's meant for what comes after.
Yeah.
And so I guess I've always tried to focus on, like, what happens here isn't really what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I do good-wise, that matters. But,
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to happen, good and bad. And, like, when it's all said and done, like, that's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm on my
Mm-hmm.
deathbed, it's not going to matter, like, what I did.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I guess I just feel like I always try to keep, like, a positive outlook. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be all right. It always is.
Well,
My
and I
husband always
agree.
says that.
Yeah. And that's me. Like I always laugh because I'm like, my head's always in the clouds and my husband keeps me grounded. And we always laugh because I'm like you. I always try to see the positive of things. And I'm like, I can't control some things. And that's a lot of things I had to let go of because I want to control certain situations or certain things. And I realized it is out of my control. But, it's like we always say, like holding a knife. I'm holding till I'm cutting myself and I have to let go. And I think that's the biggest thing is like us doing what we're doing. Katey's on our board, if you didn't know. And when you said that, it just reminded me, like, you came into our life and look where you're at now, helping with the board. And I mean, them kind of connections, I believe, has to come through God.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you, I didn't know Lynn, I didn't know Michelle. So just all of a sudden, it's all coming together. There's got to be a bigger purpose. There's got to be a reason. So I think we're kind of blessed with that. And then my biggest thing is the Star Wars thing. We talk about that. It's like I love the Star Wars thing. Have you always kind of been into Star Wars?
So my dad grew up as like a Dungeons and Dragons type nerd.
Yeah.
So like I was exposed to like Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad was really into like H.P. Lovecraft and things like that. And I learned, I've learned a lot from my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's very intelligent, but he's very nerdy. And
yeah.
So I kind of like adopted that, just part of him. So like, yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Xena the Warrior Princess.
Yes.
I wanted to be Princess Leia. And,
yes.
I wanted to be the Yellow Power Ranger. Like, I wanted to be like the badass girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So,
yes.
So I guess I've kind of always, I just think it's nice to, like, I like fantasy type stuff because, like, yes, I know, like, what's real and what's not. And it's nice to kind of, like, escape. Like, that's, that's why people read books and things like that and watch movies because, it's nice to experience a world that isn't reality.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I love that. I mean, I love driving through the snow and it's like riding in Star Wars.
Yeah, it is. And I always laugh about that because I'm like you. It's like, the world's hard and we're doing amazing things. But I grew up, I knew the difference because, like, I love scary movies too. So I grew up, here I am 8 years old, loving watching, Friday the 13th and all these amazing things. And they're like, you don't have nightmares? I'm like, no. Because I knew it wasn't real, but I loved the thrill of it. And like you, with Jedis and all that, I'm like, I want to do that. I wish I could. But I knew the difference. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think we can have both. Why can't we just love life? But on the other side, I think it's okay to be angry too. We talked about that because I went through a period too where I was angry. I was angry at the world. I mean, people could walk by and I might be angry because that sign was red today. That anger, that's horrible, And I think a lot of it is me working through it. And is the hardest thing with you? Like for me, being with myself and getting to know myself and like boundaries and emotions and everything, was that hard for you to sit with yourself? Or have you always kind of knew who you were and what you wanted, like you said, what you wanted to do, how you felt?
So I've always been very self-aware.
Okay.
Like my mom has always said that about me, that like, I think that's one way I'm like really blessed is just like even with my mental health struggles and like depression and stuff, it's like I've always been able to kind of decipher like what is Katey's real feelings and what is depression talking to me. You know what I mean?
Okay, yes.
Like I can separate and I kind of like know like when I need help and what. I don't know. I just have always been that way. And I also realize like that's not a common thing, and some people don't realize like they don't understand what is them and what is mental health issues,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, and I also went unmedicated for a really long time, so which I get. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to be on antidepressants at 11. Like that would have been rough. But later in life, my depression would kind of come out as anger, like anger outbursts.
Yeah.
So I remember I had like I was home alone one day, and we lived in our house we live in now. And Ben and I have always talked about like wanting to have children and that. And I just have this like, I think like, I don't know, I dropped something or something fell out of the fridge and I just like lost it. And I just like slid down the counter in tears, and I like realized I'm like, I can't be a good mom like this. Like I will be crazy. Yeah. I mean, I just can't live like this. So that's when I finally started exploring medication, and I got on Lexapro, and like it changed my life, honestly. Like it helped me a lot. And then just recently, within the last few weeks, I added Wellbutrin just because I think I'm kind of getting used to the Lexapro. I mean, it's been 8 years, so just to kind of like take that edge off, because I noticed like the anger was starting to come back. Yeah. Like I was like flipping out. There's some teenage girl that didn't go at a 4-way stop, and I'm like snarling. And then like
exactly.
afterwards, I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
I always say that. It's like I gotta put myself in timeout, because that's what I've done before, and I'm like, Brandy, what are you doing? Yeah. That person just walked across the street, and I was like, what are we doing? And I feel the same way, because do you think there's a stigma on people being on medicine is why people are worried to get on it? Yeah. Because I think because I have a lot of people that say, you know what, I don't want to be on medicine the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And they're like, so I don't want to start it. But your story, like you said, but sometimes you have to take that step to feel better. Right. And if that is what is helping you, and you know the difference. I mean, and I'm the same way. Like I've known the difference when I've got help and when I haven't. And I always say, you have to learn your triggers. I do anyway. So I know what triggers me, what I got to do, when it's time to put myself in timeout, basically. And do you think, like, how have you had any like backlash being on medicine, or any issues with people being like, oh, you're a nurse, but you got to be on medicine and all that? Have you ever had that kind of stuff happen?
No, I feel like since I've been mostly in like the more trauma side of the medical field, I mean, I'm sure any of the ER nurses that I worked with that have seen this will tell you, you're going to be a little messed up in the head to work there. Like, you just have to. I mean, none of us are, like, well-adjusted individuals. Yes. So, I think, I don't know, a lot of us probably are on meds, I would assume. I think a lot of us kind of understand, like, mental health. You have to. Yes. Because, especially, one of the first places that people are going to get help that people come when they're getting ready to do something like that is the ER. So, you have to be ready for that. And I think if you're not open to like how important mental health is, then you'll kind of say, they're just crazy, like they're overreacting, they're being dramatic. Like no, like people really need help sometimes. Yes. And the fact that like I would always appreciate when patients would come to the ER for that, because I'm like, I love that you are willing to get help and admit that something is not right. Yes. You know, I think it's better to go get help no matter how embarrassed you feel about it or what people might say. Like, don't just sit on that. Yeah. Because it doesn't end well, usually. No. Like, that's scary to just sit on it and, like, you just can't do that.
And I think you're right, because there's a lot of people that I've experienced, and they're like, well, you're just crazy. You're just having a bad day. Just get over it. Right. That's the biggest one, is just get over it. And I always tell people, Mike, it's like a switch. You know, if we could go up and say, okay, we don't want to have this bad day, let me switch it off, we would love it, right? Because there's some days I've woke up and it didn't matter what was going on. I could watch a commercial and something just trigger me into being just having a really bad day. And I know when I have days like that, I'm like, okay, Brandon, you got to take yourself outside. You got to go ground. You take a walk, because I know I'm not suitable for myself or anybody else because I'm angry. And I think that's a lot of it. Anger, I feel like I can get through anything with anger, but that's not a good thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm sad and all that, I'm like, oh, the world's ending for me. But when I'm angry, I'm like, I'll just deal with it. But that never works out well for me. I'm just not one of the people. I know God has a bigger plan for me, and I'm not supposed to be angry and walking around and being ticked at people doing stuff that,
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. And we always talk about signs. Sometimes I don't think there is signs there. In certain situations, I've known friends that I have lost, and there was never a sign there. And do you think there's signs there always, we just don't catch them because they're really close to us? Or do you think, I always ask people that because I've lost people that I would never have thought.
Right.
And I thought, is it because I was too close and didn't see it?
So I have always said, even when I was in high school, you get people who get angry, and then to try to spite people, they say things like, well, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is always true. And I do think that should be taken seriously no matter what.
Yeah.
However, I feel like I've definitely found that people who do go through with that usually are not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time there's not, they talk about the signs, but I feel like even if there are signs, I feel like usually it's not until a lot later after the signs happen that actually people go through with that kind of stuff. Because I just think it's really hard to be like, how do you vocalize that to somebody? I'm thinking about ending my life today. How do you do that? I mean, I wouldn't personally know how to do that. Yeah. Because you don't know how that person's going to react, and I feel like a lot of people just be like, you need to calm down.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So I do think people think I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of people tell me they think if you do that, you go to hell and things like that, which that was really hard as a kid to deal with. Yeah. Being 11 and having someone look you in the face and say, well, your grandma went to hell. Oh, that's horrible. That's, to me, that's evil to say that to somebody.
Yes.
But the weird thing is so, I haven't told a lot of people this, but so one thing that tells me that I personally believe tells me that my grandma went to heaven is about a year after all of that, I had a dream. And it was probably the most vivid dream I've ever had in my life. And I've always been a dreamer. I've always had the weirdest dreams ever. I could write a book on the weird dreams that I had. But I had this dream, and it was I don't even know what the place was. I don't know if it was an abandoned train station or what, but it was, I kind of opened my eyes, and it was dark all around me, and there was a skylight that was really, really bright, and it's the only thing I could see is whatever was in the skylight. Yeah. And I'm kind of looking around where the heck am I? This is super weird. And I felt this presence, and I look up, and there's two golden escalators, one going up and one going down. And I look up, and my grandma is on the one going up. And she literally, she didn't say anything. She just looked at me, and she smiled, and she just blinked.
Oh, my goodness.
It was the weirdest thing. And, I will never forget that for the rest of my life. And to me, I know. And to me, I feel that was her saying, I made it. It's okay.
Oh, wow.
So I've, kind of held on to that my whole life.
Yeah.
And I just feel people are well, God will never give you anything you can't handle. And, I don't know that. I don't really think God gives people mental health issues. Mm-hmm. I think people don't know how to separate, spiritual from mental health. I think, people don't realize that, sometimes your brain chemicals just aren't right. Yeah. I think that when somebody goes to commit, I don't know, I would just assume that it's, pure tunnel vision. Mm-hmm. I feel all they can think about is what hurts, and that there's no other way out except for completely out. Mm-hmm. I don't think they think about their kids or their moms or dads or anything.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's just straight direction. I just need out. And, you know, I'm sure they don't like think about the fact that like once you do that, like you really are gone forever and like that's it.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I think like you're not in your right state of mind, and I don't think people understand that. I think they think people just like consciously wake up one day like, man, that sounds like a good idea. Which I just don't think that that's how it works.
I agree.
So, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know why that happens. I don't think God like allows that to happen. I don't think, you know, I don't really think His hand is in people doing that. But I also don't think that if people do that, I don't think He leaves His people behind like that. You know, I just don't think He's like, man, well, you did that, so bye. You know, especially when you've like lived your life knowing God. I don't know. I have a really hard time believing that. I guess like to me, my number one thing is like it says, you know, for God so loved the world. You know, like whoever believes in Him shall not perish and have everlasting life, and I do believe that. I mean, I believe like all sins can be forgiven and all sins are equal in the eyes of God. And, you know, like who am I to say if they had a conversation with God before? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, and we don't know. You're right.
That's none of my business, you know, but I just think God is a merciful God. And I think He's a good God and He's a forgiving God. And I just have a hard time thinking that the God that I worship would be like, oh, I know you're not struggling mentally and this is how you chose to get out of it. Now I'm going to send you to hell. Like, I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around that.
Yeah. And I, you know, and it's horrible because I've heard that before too. Well, it don't matter. They went to hell. And I'm like, I think that's the cruelest thing you can say to someone that's lost someone. Yeah. I think that's horrible. Right. You know what? If you believe that or whatever, that's fine. But you do not have to say that. That is so unkind. And we heard a lot of that. You know, what about their son? What about this? And I'm like you, I don't think when you're in that pain, you're not thinking about the other people. It's your pain. You're going through it. And that's what it is. I don't think, like you said, they purposely are like, well, my father, my mother, my brother. No. I think when you're going through your own pain, that's the only thing you're focusing on. So, so we've struggled with that, you know, because at first I used to get really angry and I'm like, how can you say that? That's just cruel. How can you say that to someone that's hurting, that lost someone? No matter what you believe, that person is gone. We lost them. So, and I feel the same way. I mean, I got saved when I was 19. And I'm like, I always tell the story because like I died twice when I was pregnant with my son and came back. And I'm like, there's got to be a God. There's no way. Many things that I've went through, and I'm still here. And there's times where I thought I shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? And so when people say that to our family, just like you dealt with that, I just think maybe it's their own feelings on what they feel or they think, or maybe they're struggling and they don't want to admit it because they're turning their pain and they're trying to attack other people with it.
Well, I also think I've definitely learned through my life that until you have lost somebody that way or dealt with mental health yourself, I can honestly say you will never understand.
I agree.
And so I try to give people grace when they make comments like, oh, that was, you know, very selfish. That was the easy way out. Like, I try to give people grace because I just say, in my head, I'm just like, they don't understand.
Yes.
And you know what? Thank God that they don't.
And I say that all the time. I tell people, I'm like, because I've had people come up to me and they're like, why would you want to talk about mental health? Why would you do the podcast? Why would you bring people on the show? And I said, because I feel like that's what we need to do to break the stigma, you know, and I talked to them and they're like, but I don't get it. And I'm like, I know. And I said, I wish you never get it. I wish you never have mental health issues and all these struggles. Believe me, I don't wish this on anybody. And you're right. A lot of times people just don't understand. And that's the biggest thing. They don't understand. So they just kind of deal with what they feel, what they've been taught or whatever, but they've never experienced it. And then like, you know, like I talk about like my husband and stuff, like he never grew up and had mental health issues. Never. Older in life he has, but he never did. And I said, you were so blessed. You were so blessed that you never grew up and had them issues and feelings. That's such a blessing. Right. And I wish we all had that. But at the same time, I'm blessed because what I went through made me who I am today. I had more compassion. You know, I listen, you know, I try to give. I really do things I'm supposed to be doing. I care more because I went through them situations. Not that you wish you went through them. No. But I've learned that things have happened in my life for a reason because honestly, it was a wake-up call for me. Things I needed to do when I went to my friend's funeral and stuff, and I thought that was going to be me. That was going to be me laying in that casket because I did not have my life together. I didn't know God. I was just doing whatever brain you want to do in the flesh, and it just wasn't a good path, and it was going to lead me to a really bad place. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, it's really hard to hear them words. But I'm like you. I finally got over the whole anger thing because I started understanding, like you said. They didn't understand. And a lot of them just, until they experience it, they don't. Right. And you don't want them to. But yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, I would never wish that kind of stuff on anybody. Like, so, our Pastor Kristen, at my church, like, I love my church. I mean, I don't know. I really do. Like, church is one thing for me that if I don't go, it like messes up my whole week.
Yeah.
It's like part of it's almost like a bath for my soul at the end of the week.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
And so I just love it. I always have. But every year Pastor Kristen talks about mental health, and I literally every time I sit there and I just sob because for me, knowing what it feels like to struggle with mental health, it hurts me to know that anyone else could ever have to feel that.
Yes.
And I think that's what hurts me the most, is because I know what that darkness feels like. And because I know everyone experiences depression differently, but for me personally, like when I have like a depressive spell, I always tell people, for me, well, first of all, like I'm kind of like you, where everything like physically hurts. Like I can't explain it, but it hurts. Yes. Like my skin hurts, my everything hurts. Yes. Every part of me. It's just like, it's almost like to like lift my arm is like an exercise, But for me, it feels like I'm like under the water and I can like see the top, like it's right there. And I just it's like no matter what I do, I cannot get to the top. Yes. And get that breath. Like I get like it's heavy to breathe. Yes. And I think like just like we said, like if you've never been through that, you're not gonna understand that. And like I can't explain to you why my body physically responds in that way, but it does. Yes. And I don't think I'm overreacting or weak or anything. Like that's just me, and that's how it's always been. I've experienced depression since I was young. It's like I said, I was 11, and I mean, I was getting hives because I was so depressed. Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Mental health is just a hard thing, and I do think I've always said, like, even being in the medical field, sometimes I think mental health is more important than like your body health. Yeah. Because I think if your mental health isn't right, it can affect so much more. Oh, I agree. Yes. I mean, you see people that they lose a spouse that they've been with for, 60 plus years. And what happens? Like, their body goes too pretty quickly, because I just think like that, your mental health is kind of like everything. It is. I agree. And people don't put that much, like, it's not important to a lot of people. And it needs to be, because I just think, I don't know, I just wish more people knew, like, it's okay. Like, there's, I mean, I'm always here. I know you're always here. Like, I just wish, like, everybody on earth knew that there is someone to talk to, and like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's worth another day. Like, I promise. Yes. And you're not going to know if it's worth it if you don't stay for it. So you got to. You got to do it, no matter how hard it is. Yeah. So, and I mean, I'm glad that I never, like, took my depression that far. Like, I always kind of, I'm not great at like getting help, but I feel like I've kind of handled it myself. And I'm on meds and things like that, and that's helped me a lot. And like, I'm not ashamed to be on meds. Like, I don't care. I'll tell anybody. Because maybe your story's going to help someone else, because that's how I feel. I'm like, in my family, I'm the one that's kind of stepping out and talking and seeing people and doing all this. And a lot of the families like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, that's okay. They don't want to do that. But I know for me, this helps me mentally. Right. Talking to you, doing the podcast, having, the meetings and the festival, it helps me, because I know I would help others. I never want them to feel the way I felt, so alone. Right. In that period where I just felt so alone and isolated and depression and everything. I'm like, I want other people to know we all feel like that at times, and there's someone there to talk to. And that's why we have our safe space. Well, I feel like it's becoming more of an issue for younger and younger kids. Yes. Like, anytime that I would hear a story or see something about a child committing, it makes me sick. I know. Because, like, you're so young, The fact that you've experienced so much pain so young that you felt like that was the only option.
Yes.
That's hard for me to deal with. I just, I don't know. I mean,
that's so heartbreaking.
Well, and I think as a parent, like, I could never imagine. I pray to God I never have to know what that's like. But, you know, I think, like, these parents probably think, like, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? And I just think, like, in those situations, you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. You know? Like, sometimes you just can't, no matter what you do or say, the things in people's body are going to do certain things. Yep. And sometimes you just, I don't know, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part about it is people's path is their path. And but it just bothers me that these kids are so young.
I know.
I just, but the bullying is like relentless nowadays.
It is. And that's what we talked about. I'm like, now, and social media is horrible. I feel so bad because I've talked to a lot of parents and that's what they said. Someone posts a picture and they're being bullied, the way they look, the way they talk, what they're doing. And like I said, growing up, and I'm not condoning violence when I say this, but growing up, like if we had an issue, like we'd got in the yard and just, punch it out or slap it out, whatever. I'm not saying that was right, but I'm saying, and then it was over.
Right.
But now this lingers for months. One person bullies and they all get on the train and like it just goes and goes and goes. Imagine being 14 and someone tearing you down every day. Yeah. And all over the world, social media, and you don't even know this person.
Well, I can remember things that people said to me as a child to this day, and I'm 33 years old.
Exactly.
And so, I have kind of talked to my kids about bullying. They're 6 and 7, but I've definitely talked to the 17-year-old, and I've told them, I'm like, you don't realize that what you say could be something that pushes someone over the edge.
Exactly.
And do you want to live with that for the rest of your life?
Yes.
So, I can remember in high school, in my yearbook and stuff, people that I barely ever talked to were like, you're the nicest person in the school. Because I just I don't know. I don't want anyone to ever feel unseen. Yeah. I was bullied a lot in school. People were not nice to me. I was the weird kid, which was fine, whatever. I'm still I have always felt that, I don't really fit in anywhere. And I'm kind of just used to it now. Yeah. So it's just, whatever.
But what is normal? I talk about this all the time. Everybody's like, you were normal. I'm like, honestly, I was never normal. If whatever, I never fit into any box because I'm like you. I've always been goofy and, crazy and just whatever. It's like, I don't care. I'll dance in the rain. I'll lay on the ground. And that's just how it is with me. So I'm like you. I think a lot of people and a lot of kids try to feel like they fit into that box. And I think that's why it causes a lot of issues. Because in my school, it's a cliques, or if you're in this, you're in that. And it just got to a point where man, you feel like an outcast everywhere you go. Yeah. So these kids nowadays, it's horrible. We have 3 grandsons and I'm like, this is the world they're growing up in. And so I'm really we're all trying to have that open space and for them just to be kids, and I think everybody's growing up way too fast with social media. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I understand this is the world we live in and I think it's amazing. But it's heartbreaking too.
Right. Well, I also think parents really need to step up.
Yes.
I feel like parents, they don't teach their kids about bullying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen, it blows my mind, but I've seen adults bully kids.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, what? What?
Yeah, why?
I would never in a million years. But, it scares me. It scares me for my kids. Presley, she's 6 and she has that pretty large hemangioma on her lip, and people ask about it all the time. Yeah. And I'm just waiting for the day that people are mean. Yeah. She's only 6 and she's told me tons of times, I just wish that it was gone, and it's hard. I'm like,
That's hard.
I think she's the most beautiful little person I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And Sammy's autistic, so I'm sure he's gonna get made fun of. But I also think Sammy's the type of kid that, and I've heard that there are quite a few autistic kids that are like this. They don't pick up on it, that people are viewing them that they're weird. They just are kind of that's just who I am, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. They don't care. I hope he stays like that.
Yes, exactly.
I hope he's just yep, I'm autistic, cool. What?
Yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah, I'm awesome. I think Sammy's one of the awesomest little dudes ever. I love his brain. Sometimes he talks to me about stuff I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'm like,
okay, yeah. All right. I said we need to get him on the podcast. I always say that, the kids one, because I love hearing kids' stories. Yeah. And I love them. I know because we went to church. I went to your church and they came out that day, said he had to come out of the room. He's like, well, Brandy, I just wasn't good today.
Yeah.
I said, that's okay. You'll have a better day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, okay. But I just love it because their brain and the way they think, it's like that age, you're like, and I hope he always stays like that because I'm like you. The way this world is, and maybe he'll teach other people, this is who I am. This is what it is. Let's just live together and not fight each other.
Right. Well, and I feel bad because I catch myself a lot, like, apologizing for who he is. And I've tried really hard not to do that, but I still do it. Like, I've noticed, like, he'll do something kind of, like, off color or whatever, and people will look at him weird, and I'm like, I'm sorry, he's autistic.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, why do you do that?
Because I think as a mom, we feel like we got to protect him, and you want to say, hey, he's not a bad kid over here. He's just doing something that, because I know we've dealt with a lot of different things because my grandson is too. And I think it's just a response. Right. Like my grandson, he had longer hair when he was younger. So then like, is that a girl? And I'm like, no, it's a boy. He just didn't want to cut his hair. And that's me. Like, why did I have to explain 3 different ways? Right. He don't want to cut his hair. That's his safety thing. I didn't really have to explain that.
Well, people are just very, I mean, for lack of a better word, they can be real ballsy.
Yeah. And hearing him, I'm like, why would you say that? Hearing him, why would you even think that? I used to laugh because I had my son young. And I used to say, I need to wear a shirt that says, yes, that's my son. Yes, I'm a young mom. Because that's what, is that your son? Well, he looks so, I know. But
people are nosy.
It's so just nosy. Like, but why just not say it?
Well, the amount of adults, I have had so many adults ask me about Crystal's look. They're like, yes, she saw what happened. And I'm like, it's a birthmark. She was born with it. Like, I just want to be like, why would you ask that?
And then you don't think that's rude at all? Yeah. I wanted to be like, can I talk about you to your child?
I mean, like, well, like, just like you see someone with their head shaved, and I'm up, I'm like, are you battling cancer?
I know.
Like, you don't do that. It's not your business.
And here I am. My mom taught me right. Here I'm thinking, if you have nothing nice to say nothing.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, why do you think we should answer that? And that's what I used to get aggravated. I'm like, can you just stop it? And then it got to the point where like, I don't even care anymore. I'm like, you know what? Because there's always that person that will always ask something off the wall. And I'm like, do you realize what you're saying?
Right. Well, I always was taught, and I always tried to be like, if it's not something they can immediately change, you don't comment on it. Like, you don't comment on weights. I can't. You tell somebody they're fat. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and be skinny because you said that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I mean, just don't comment on stuff like that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, and I also feel like you just never know why somebody is that way.
Exactly. You never know.
Like, I know people that have, like, PCOS, and they've tried forever to lose weight. Everything you can imagine, and they just can't. Like, some people just, I don't know. I mean, just anything. Like, some people have alopecia, and they can't grow hair and things like that. Like, just, I don't know. I just feel like, mind your business, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I think we all need to sign. You matter, but mind your business. Because I'm like you. It's just like you don't really know what's going on in someone's mind or physically, mentally, whatever's going on. So I never understood. It's like, and I think as humans, people are just curious, but it's just like, keep it to yourself. Yeah. If someone's disabled and you want to stare at them the whole time walking down the road, stop it. Yeah. I'm not being mean, but do you think they want to be stared at? No one wants to be stared at, and no one wants to be asked questions. Maybe they don't want to talk about it. Right. Maybe there's a reason, I mean, obviously there's always a reason for everything that goes on with us. And I think that's how it is with mental health. I'm like, you don't know, because I have talked to doctors, lawyers. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how big your house is. We all struggle in different ways. Right. So people were like, oh, they look like their life's together. Why? Because you see pictures of them? Because they look happy? Well, you know what? I've seen the happiest people that I've seen them in the dark places that are struggling the most and really had to sit with them.
Well, I think people don't realize that, like, the internet's not real. I mean, I know people personally who, if you ask them, like, if you ask somebody that knows them from Facebook and stuff, like, oh, what's their life like? They'd be like, well, they have a beautiful family, and they have the best marriage, and blah, blah, blah. And little do they know, it's completely opposite. What goes on behind closed doors is you'd never guess.
Yes.
So I don't know. People are always like, well, they're perfect. Because you see them on a screen, like, once a week they post pictures. Yeah. Like, you don't know.
And no one wants to say, it's like no one wants to go, oh, man, let me just post my wake up ugly picture today. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I wish we all were real more. But I think a lot of us is like that. Like, I'd love to get on there and I'll post to the family or do different things and all this. I think it's hard because sometimes maybe we don't want to post our real side because a lot of people are worried about judgment. Oh, look at her. Why would she not put makeup on? Why would she look like that? I mean, that's the world we live in.
Right.
You think if someone's not looking like this or doing this, there's something wrong with them. And that's what I want to change, one person at a time. I know we're doing the best we can, but like you said, raising your kids like that, I'm like that with my son. It's like I know there's mistakes I've made, and now I'm very open. Like I talk about this, like my son did not know I had mental health issues when he was younger. I hid it. Everybody's, Brandy, you're the most happy, outgoing person, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you never seen the other side of me because I never showed it. Because I was like, well, I'm not going to burden someone or I'm not going to show the other side because it's an ugly side I don't think people need to see. But now I'm very, open with them. And I'm like, I struggle, and he is in his 20s. And I'm like, we've got to talk about this because one day you're going to have kids. And I tell them all the time, like, it's okay. If you don't want to talk about things, but I want this to be a safe space.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have looked at me and they're like, you've really changed. And I'm like, it's not that I've changed. You just never seen completely Brandy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think no one shows their complete self because they're afraid of many things. Like me thinking, well, I don't want to burden people with my mood swing and all that. Well, so I just couldn't be who I really wanted to be for a long time.
Right.
I just showed the good side.
Well, I definitely think that people, I think like it seems like the happiest people on the outside are really the saddest on the inside.
And and that's true.
I mean, look at like Robin Williams, like he spent his life making people laugh and he was a great person.
Yes.
And he struggled.
Yes.
And like I feel like a lot of the celebrities that do are usually the people that were like all their friends were like they were a great person. They were so fun to be around, so supportive, you know. But really I think like that's kind of our therapy is we like want to help other people. So that makes us happy. But really like I think, no one's ever really going to know what goes on the inside.
Yeah. I agree.
Like I think it would surprise people that don't know me that well to know that like I'm such a mental health advocate and that I struggle with mental health and like I've been through some things and I've seen some things.
Yeah.
But because they're like, you're so funny, you're so happy, so nice. And like, my trauma makes me funny. I mean,
exactly. Like, I mean, you got to laugh, right? I always say that. You got to laugh through it,
You can't take yourself too seriously. No. Like, if you can't laugh at yourself, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, everyone else is going to laugh at you. You might as well laugh too.
Well, and that's what I always say. When I fall down, I'm just going to lay there and laugh at myself because I'm like you. I'm like, why? And I'm totally the same way. And, we always joke because I said, some people will laugh, they'll cry, they'll do whatever. And I said, I have laughed through horrible moments. And I know it sounds bad to a lot of people, but that was how I dealt with things. It was just like, I would laugh at the most awkward times because I'm that kind of person. And not because I'm not sad or angry or mad, but maybe that's what I was processing at the time.
Well, and sometimes different feelings come out a way we wouldn't expect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one thing I learned like in the ER and just like in general, I feel like if someone comes in pain to the point that they're laughing, then they're really in pain.
Yes.
Like something is like firing in their brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, so I'm like, this is really a problem.
Yes.
Like I know they're laughing, but it's because that's all they can do to keep from
exactly.
It.
Yeah. It's like one or the other. I had one of my friends that she was struggling and she was laughing and crying at the same time, basically. And I was like, I know, girl. So, and that's hard because I was like, we laughed together, we cried together. It kept going back and forth because it was such a struggle because you just couldn't deal with your emotions. And I was like, I get it. I've done that before. You know how you get so mad and then you cry because you're so mad? I think it's the whole concept. I think we just try to process the best we can and it comes out in different ways. And honestly, it's like, I've been through so much in my life that I'm like, I have to laugh.
Right.
Because it's like, if I didn't laugh, where would I be? I think you got to have some kind of laughter and joy to get through it because you're always going to have them angry moments, sad moments, but you got to have that laughter too.
Yeah.
And you got to laugh at yourself. That is the biggest one. And a lot of people are afraid to laugh at themselves. And I was like, it's okay. We're human. We're all the same. It's all embarrassing. It's all crazy. We've done it all. So.
And we're all in different situations, you're always going to feel different things. You know? Like one thing my dad always said to me that has just rang true in my life that I say to other people, and I just will always be like one of my phrases.
Yeah.
Is my dad always would say, "You will feel what you're meant to feel when you're meant to feel it."
Ooh, I like that.
And that's always been true.
Yeah.
Because I'd always be like, I feel like I should be over this by now, or it's been this long. Why am I crying about this? And that's what my dad would say. He's like, "You will feel what you're meant to feel when you're meant to feel it."
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense you saying that because we do that. I think we go on a time frame. oh, it's been 6 months. Why are we still grieving? Why are we still this? But I'm like you. I think us processing, it's all different time frames. But that makes so much sense. I like that. Because I've questioned that before. Like, why am I still crying over this? I'm like, let it go, Brady.
And some things, I don't know that you'll ever fully be able to let it go. I mean, like, yeah, my grandma, like, her death was when I was 11. I'm 33 now. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do I cry about it anymore? Not really. I mean, I feel like I've kind of handled that grief, I guess.
Yes.
But, yeah, like, I still miss her, and I still think about, the times we had together and things. Like, I still try to, like, keep her memory alive. Like, when shortly before she passed away, we had planned a trip to Graceland because she's the reason I love Elvis.
Okay.
So when I was little,
I love that.
For Easter, she got me, in my Easter basket was 2 Elvis CDs.
Awesome.
And I used to sit at the back of the bus with my little Walkman, and I would listen to Elvis. So we never got to go to Graceland, which sucks. And I still have never went, but I know that someday I will. But I mean, that's why Presley's name is Presley. My daughter's Presley Ann, which was her middle name.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of worked out because, my last name is Music.
Yeah.
So I told my husband when we got married, I said, I just want to let you know, like, if we have a daughter, her name will be Presley. And he, you know what he said to me?
What?
Well, I only make boys, so that will never happen.
And guess what?
And our last one was a girl, so I'm like, I get my funny. Presley. And she loves that her name is Presley. Like, when she hears Elvis, she'll be like, this is Elvis me.
Oh, I love it.
Like,
that's
so
cool.
Well, I think she thinks that he was named after her.
Yeah.
But I'm like, whatever, girl. And then I tell people that Sammy was like, there's a little bit of, I kind of like, Sam from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everyone needs a Sam in their life. Like,
yes.
The best partners, sidekick, friends are Sams.
You're right.
So I'm like, that's my little Samuel. I love it. He's
that's so
dude.
Cool.
So, I don't know.
I love it.
Fun, but yeah.
That's so cool. I love that you have like the Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and all that together, and Elvis. That's so cool. Because I'm like you. I think you're such a cool person. Because I'm like you. I love all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I think that's what makes everybody unique. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Why can't you love Elvis and then do this and this? It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And once you get out of high school, I always feel like everybody really has a hard time in high school they don't really know who they are until you get out in the real world and you kind of find your friends or your job. Or I think that's how you grow.
Right.
And we heal in different ways. There's things that when I was younger, I couldn't process. Of course, I did bad things or didn't heal the right way at that time. But I needed to go through that. Right. I think you can't change things. You're not meant to have it at that time. It's going to come later.
Right. I mean, I was a wild teenager.
Yeah.
Like, I was a wild one. And, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm proud of everything I've ever done in my life because I'm not. But I do believe that every single thing I've done in my life made me who I am.
Oh, I agree.
Like, I think, you walk the path that is you're meant to walk. And, you'll change along the way. I mean, like I said, I've always believed in God. But I feel like in the last, 5 years or so is when I've really, come to the faith.
Yeah.
And, I've finally kind of been like, here it is. Like, you do what you do with it.
Yeah.
And it's helped me a lot, honestly. I mean, like I said, there's never anything he hasn't pulled me through. And I just, my faith has always been especially now, it's just very important to me that, it's not a secret that I'm a Christian. I'm not shy about it. I'm like, yep, I believe in God. Nothing you say or do will ever shake my faith. Yeah. And that's been true forever. That I've been through a lot, but there's never been anything I've been through where I was questioning if he was there for me or not. Even when I'm like, that wasn't cool. Why did you let that happen?
Yeah. You're like, let's have a talk over here. And I'm like you, because I was like, I'm like, I'm very stubborn, but I did things, but I'm like you. When I was younger, I did things at the time that it's not really, I'm like you can't really say you regret it, but sometimes you do have regrets, obviously. But I think I had to go through all that to become who I am now.
Right. Because
I was stubborn. I'm still stubborn. And I think God always slaps me in the face with something. You didn't listen the first time, Brandy. Well, I'm going to slap you a different one. I'm like, okay, got it. But I think we're all individual. And I think that's what we got to go through to become who you are today. So.
I mean, he said, knock and the door shall be open. Seek and you will find. I mean, I think you just got to kind of wait and he'll tell you what to do.
And I think some people just try to run through the door. We always laugh because it's I'm like that. Let me be impatient. Let me be stubborn. I'm like, God, I want it this way, why it's not that way? Because it's not my way, it's his way.
Right.
But how many times we want it to be our way? And I'm like, Brandy, it's not about you.
Well, and I think people think, like, as a Christian, I think they see people that are very faithful, and they think, like, their life has probably just been great.
Yes.
Like, that's why they're so faithful.
Yes.
You know, they've never had to struggle. But I feel like, you know, God never promised that it was going to be easy. Like, He said trials and tribulations.
Yes.
And I think that's why I've kind of developed the whole, like, you know, what comes after is more important than what's here.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, you know, I've been through some really terrible things that were not fun, but I don't think, like, I mean, that's just part of my path. Like, that's just what was supposed to happen in my life at that time, and it did. And, you know, this is, I think, how we get through it is what really shows, like, who we are as people, you know. So, I don't know. I mean, that's...
And I think you can help other people because of that. So you could talk to other people that are like, oh, you've been through that? You understand? Yeah.
Well, so one of the things I used to do in the ICU as a tech was I would have to be in sitter cases.
Okay.
You know, you have to be on watch if you are, they consider you to be suicidal for usually 72 hours. So if they were in the ICU, like, they needed someone to sit with them the whole shift. And so I did. And I feel like I learned a lot that way. Like, you know, you see people struggle, and I don't know, like, I feel like I can help them and just kind of be like, you know, I've been there. I get it. You know, I get when it's dark, you know, and you don't know where the light switch is. Like, I promise you, you just, you got to kind of just go through it. You know, you got to grit your teeth and bear it.
Yes, it's just temporary pain. We always say it's temporary pain. We'll get through it. We'll get through it. I agree. And I think people are placed in your path for a reason, you know, because I've learned from other people that I would never thought I'd learn from. And, you know, and there's people that I never knew they went through that stuff until they told me. And it's really helped me learn that, you know,
it says in the Bible, this too shall pass. And I wish I would tell myself that, like, you know, when my brother was sick and we lost him, like, I mean, I feel like when I'm in grief, it always feels like, how could I ever not be in grief? Like, that's going to feel like this forever. And I always tell myself, like, this too shall pass. It's not going to feel like this forever. Yeah. Like, I'm always going to have, you know, memories, and there's going to always be times where I'm like, oh, you know, I miss them. But, you know, it does get better. And it's just, you know, well, and I also think, one thing I think I put on my Facebook one time was, I think that it's not that, like, it gets easier. They say, like, time heals all wounds. Like, I don't really believe that. Like, I think some scars will always be there no matter what. They're never going to heal. I think we become more familiar with it. Yeah. And it gets easier to deal with it the more familiar you are with it.
You're right.
Like, I think you just have to face it head on. Like, you got to face your grief, and, like, you can't, like, kind of just have to deal with it then.
I agree.
If you want to get through it. Yeah. So, I don't know. And that's hard for some people.
And it is, and I think that's a lot of it. Is I think we always carry that pain with us, but I'm like you. It's just, we learn and we just adapt and we do different things, but it's never going to go away. Right. I don't think we're going to completely heal, but maybe we're going to heal in different ways. I always call it like my broken healing. Like, I'm always cracked, you know, it's just there, but I can use them cracks to do something else. Right. But yeah, so that's a big thing. Well, thank you for coming on today. Is there any advice or anything you would like to say to someone that is struggling right now, and they just don't know what to do or who to turn to, or any advice for them?
I mean, you just got to reach out. I mean, if it's people that are friends with me on Facebook, like, I'm always there. I mean, even if I'm asleep, send me a message. I'll get back to you. Like, I don't ever want someone to feel, like I said, I want everyone to feel like they are heard and, you know, they matter, because you do. Like, if you're alive on this planet, you matter. Like, you have a story that was meant to, you know, be lived. Yes. And sometimes you just need help along the way. And so, like, reach out. Like, you know, I just wish that people weren't so afraid to reach out. Yes. Like, you know, I know here, like, there's no judgment. And, I mean, someone could tell me anything. Yeah. And, you know, you just can't judge people because I wasn't in that situation with them. I don't know. You know? Yeah. So. It makes sense, yeah. Very loud. And then, of course, like, you know, my favorite Star Wars quote. Yes. I grew up for my Princess Leia quote. Yes. Hope is like the sun, and you only believe it when you see it, and never make it through the night. Like, I love that. That's awesome. When I heard that in the Star Wars movie, I just, like, that just, like, hit me. I was like, I need to get that tattoo. Yes, and please
we say it again, just in case we didn't hear that?
So hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night.
I love that.
I love it too.
That's amazing, and that's so true.
Yeah,
that's so true.
One of my favorite like non-biblical things that I'm just like, I just love that.
That's awesome, and I love because we have a board in here that everybody puts that. So I love that you put that because that just touches people. So it does. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. We always do a little dance off, so I'll do the music and we can just wiggle it out.
All right.
But yes, you